If you want to improve and continuously grow in your life, you have to keep learning. And one of the ways through that is through the wonderful world of books. So I like to learn, but I had a little bit of a problem. I hated reading. So like all those books they made you read in high school, like I kind of spark noted my way through that. So if that sounds like you and you really don't like reading as well, one option that I found that was really helpful for me were audiobooks. And these 5 books that I've read / listened to have really changed my mindset on a lot of different things in life and helped me improve and create the best version of myself. Which sounds a little dramatic, but honestly that's how I feel about these books. And I really think that if you read all of these 5 books, you're not going to regret it. These books will help you be a better leader, better with your money, and definitely will make you a better version of yourself. But if you want to create the best version of yourself, you're going to need to take the time to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And now that we have that out of the way, let's go on to book number 1. So book number 1 is Extreme Ownership by Jocko, Willink, and Leif Babin. I don't remember how I found this book, but I'm so glad that I did. It was written and narrated in the audiobook version by 2 former Navy SEALs, and they essentially told you stories from their times in battle and how that relates to being a better leader and person in life. The book goes through a bunch of different scenarios from them in the battlefield, and also they give real life examples of how they try to help businesses adopt some of these ownership principles so that they can improve. And I don't know about you, but there's just something about a war story that just has a deeper level of seriousness to it. So one story that really sticks out in my mind is one where Jocko goes over a situation where they basically had friendly fire at war. It was a huge deal. A bunch of people from the Pentagon came down and had to give a presentation about what happened. It's obviously an oversimplification of the story. It's much more vivid when he tells it in the book. And he knew that under the situation where all these high-ranking officials show up, that someone was going to get fired. They were looking for someone to blame on the job. So he gave a briefing to all of his superiors and basically summarized what happened and then asked the question, whose fault was this? And to his team's credit, he actually said that there were a couple of team members that raised their hand and said, hey, it was actually my fault, I didn't communicate this. Or another person that said, no, I'm the one that actually shot the guy, it's my fault. But him as a leader, he said, nope, you're all wrong. This is on me. Because it was his team, but he also really felt like it was his responsibility to own the whole situation. And then he went on to explain throughout the rest of his presentation what necessary steps he was going to take throughout the process to make sure it never happened again. And at the end of the day, no one got fired. And that's kind of the theme of his book, is that when you take ownership of the situation, 1, people recognize that and respect that. And number 2, everyone on his team for sure respected him a lot more. And just for me to hear that story at that level of like just war death made me really realize the importance of owning any situation that you're in and how you're perceived as a person and a leader when you truly take ownership of a situation. So the book is not all about war stories. He does go into details about how he goes to different companies, talks to different bosses who don't take ownership of situations. And I'm sure a lot of us have had bosses just like that. For me, the reason why I take ownership of situations is that it actually takes the burden off. Because I believe when you blame someone else, you're not really solving any problem. Blaming someone just deflects the issue, and when you take it upon yourself to improve, it makes things a lot easier. And I've noticed too in my own life, when I took ownership of situations, it just worked out better for me. And this book has also opened my eyes so that when I do witness leaders that don't take ownership of situations, I can see how that affects the rest of the team. The book also talks about how you can be a better decision maker, how you can better maintain your cool and prioritize when you're under stressful situations, and just overall preparedness and the importance of it. So in general, just as a self-improvement book, as a leadership book, it's to me the most impactful book I think I've had in my life. So number 2 is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now I know, or at least this is what I thought at the beginning, I was like, I don't want to get that book. That sounds lame. What do you mean win friends? Are you a loser? But this is actually a really good book. It talks about how you can better connect with others and truly understand other people's points of view to create better relationships with others. And this is a book that I probably actually really need because it talks about relating with people on an emotional level when I'm more of like a logical person. Some people may say that I lack like empathy or sympathy or whatever. So reading this book really helped me understand how most people think and how being a better listener, showing a genuine interest in others, really helps build a connection and trust with those around you. The book takes you through a bunch of scenarios which really helped me understand kind of how I thought and what wasn't working. And what this book actually really taught is that your stereotypical Asian parents do nothing in this book. There's a lot of positive reinforcement. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say coddling, but just being more emotionally aware of the damage, I guess, that your potentially putting on someone else by your words. So say someone's been struggling with school, they've been getting C's and D's on their test, and then all of a sudden they get, an 85%, a B. So if you tell somebody, oh, good job on getting the B, but if you tried harder and you didn't play that video game, maybe you could have gotten an A, which is probably the way that I would normally approach a situation. But reading this book, they give you an example and say, instead of saying that, you can say, good job on getting the B, and if you continue that work, you can probably get an A. It's kind of the same message that you have the potential to do more, but it doesn't have that but in there that basically erases that compliment that you gave in the first place. So it's examples like that and learning from all the different situations that the book provides has really helped me in the workplace and made me a lot more self-aware of how I'm actually acting. I'm not perfect yet, and I'm sure a lot of my coworkers will say the same thing, but this book has really opened my eyes on how I could be a better leader and someone that people want to work with instead of have to work with. So number 3, and this is a book that I'm sure any money person has heard of, it's called The Intelligent Investor. So this book was written by Benjamin Graham, and there's also some little snippets in there from Warren Buffett. Talks about their investing mindset and mistakes to avoid when you're trying to get into investing. And honestly, when I first got this book, I thought, this is Warren Buffett's favorite book. This is the one he swears by. It's probably going to be a really awesome book. And it was, but honestly, it's pretty dense. Or maybe it's just not that exciting. And I love money. I think managing money and investing is so interesting, but just getting through this book was a little tough. So just keep that in mind when you first get the book. But the information in there is gold. Basically, my entire investing mindset has been created from this book. The long-term mindset and delaying like short-term gratification, dollar cost averaging, and maintaining your emotional intelligence and not making emotional decisions when the market goes up and down. Explaining that just looking at the price of a stock or anything is not investing. You have to understand value in something and just keep out all the extra noise and stick with the research that you've done on any sort of entity. And honestly, it's just a low frills, low excitement way of investing, but the examples they give in the book and the logic that they convey, it just makes total sense. You shouldn't be investing in things that you don't understand. Just hearing from someone that a stock is hot doesn't mean that you should buy it. I really think that anybody that's truly going to invest should read this book. I think this has given me a very solid mindset foundation and will definitely set me up for financial success in the future. So number 4 is The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas J. Stanley. And kind of the gist of this book can be summarized like this. Who do you think of these 2 pictures is the millionaire? This book studies and talks about different scenarios of actual millionaires in real life, and it shows you that from the eye test, the average everyday people are actually the ones that are millionaires. The ones out there that are just driving fancy cars, with chains and whatever, Gucci whatevers, are usually just trying to put on a front and are not actually very wealthy. True wealth comes from living below your means and investing the rest in assets that'll grow with you over time. Again, very similar to the intelligent investor, where if you conduct a non-flashy lifestyle, it's so much easier for you to actually accumulate wealth. He actually calls like the regular people that, don't save money, that aren't millionaires, he calls them just under accumulators of wealth. And he's basically trying to say that anyone with an average salary can become a millionaire. Somebody else also said that, and you can see his link to his video up above. But you don't actually need to earn $1 million in a year to be a millionaire. By being diligent with your expenses, not spending more than you earn, and not really caring about what other people think about your wealth by trying to show it off with materialistic things, will set you up for a great path for you to be wealthy. And book number 5 is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But this book basically details about how to be prepared for war, but a lot of these lessons, when you really think about it, actually apply to life. So again, kind of similar, if you don't really like war stuff, maybe this book won't be for you, but the lessons from this are truly invaluable. Things in this book that are stressed are preparedness. If you don't have a strategy, if you don't have any preparation, and you don't do all your due diligence, you're going to fail. And by doing all this preparation, you can understand which battles you can win and which ones you can lose, and only enter battle into ones that you think you can win. The chances of you succeeding going into something blind and just hoping that you're going to win are pretty slim. But also the part of being successful is knowing when to appear weak when you are truly strong, and strong when you appear weak. And that to me is such a good thing, especially if you're in a job where you have to negotiate, because you want people to let their guard down when they think that you're actually weaker than you are, and then you can hit them. Not physically, of course, but you know what I mean. Another lesson in this book being about self-awareness and placing a huge emphasis on that almost as much as the awareness of your opponent. You need to know your strengths and especially your weaknesses are, especially for you to exploit that out in real life. A lot of people skip this step, I think, of actually truly analyzing themselves. You can find out a lot when you really look within. And finally, and I think this is one of my favorite lessons from this book, is that it stresses that you have to live as if you're in the face of death. In other words, YOLO. And that doesn't mean going out to the clubs and partying and, pillaging around. It's kind of just living your life without fear, going after what you really want in life. Because it's that hesitation and that fear that's really going to hold you back. When you're at that breaking point or that point of no return, that's when actually probably your maximum potential will be unleashed. But don't wait till you get there. Make the most of your days and operate as if it could be your last. So those are my top 5 books that I've read/listened to. Tell me in the comments below if you've read any of these books or if you have any book recommendations for me. Again, I think continuing to learn and broadening your mindset is so important for you to continue to develop and improve. So if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell below so you can join our growing family here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you on the next video.